Please all rise. Ms. Galvin, if you would lead us in the flag salute.
You know, pledge of allegiance or flag salute, sir? Okay, they're different. Let's start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have moved to number 3, any citizens desiring to be heard. Seems how we have a lot over here. Yes, Dan.
Mr. Chairman.
Dan Ladd.
Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate you jumping me right to the front of the line there. Oh, I just wanted to let the commissioners know I sent in an application for being on the excise board, and it was brought to my attention that I'm on the jail board and I can't be on 2 boards, and so what I'd like to do is put in my application for the excise board. Jail board is really pretty much closing down, and so I would resign from that board upon my acceptance in the.
I think we're going to be discussing that. Is that not an agenda item?
I didn't get an agenda, sir.
Okay.
His reappointment to the jail board is on this agenda.
That's what I was. Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Let me ask you, who put that
Mr.
on the
Commissioner.
agenda? Who put that on the agenda? That item 16?
It was sent to me,
By-
I believe by Cynthia.
Okay, just check. Yes, sir.
I didn't know we was taking applications on the excise board.
I wasn't aware of that myself.
I wasn't as well, but the application's in there if we do decide to do something. Number 4, consideration and possible action on approving minutes of January 15th, 2015.
I'll move for approve.
Copies of those?
I emailed them out.
You got copies of those minutes here?
Yes, the
It's
ones
original.
that read.
Yeah, shall I do this?
Sure.
Thanks.
Commissioner, in the future, these are sent out on email. The board would very much appreciate it if you would check that out before. Send any corrections to our county clerk that might be needed so that we can proceed very quickly. Thank you, sir.
I move for approve.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
On to number 5, discussion of Eddie Foreman regarding the Central Oklahoma Workforce Investment Board. Sir?
Me. Commissioners,
Good morning.
how
Good
are you?
morning.
Logan County is part of an area that was designated as one of the counties involved in the workforce investment area from an act that was passed in '98. They all signed a consortium agreement because the act requires that local elected officials petition the governor to be designated as such a workforce area. It really depends on the commissioners, generally, how much involvement. Typically, it can be commissioners or it has been city officials, depending on who wants to sign, because it says any locals of elected officials will be before. I don't know if you all have had a chance, and I'm sorry that I didn't get here earlier, but I do have copies of the consortium agreement for you to see what exactly you signed in 2011. I can tell you that we administer money from the U.S. Department of Labor for employment training, and we have an office that we support here in Logan County. And our year starts in July, and program year 13, which ended this past June, we'd served 96 customers and spent just on these customers $136,974.86. That means we paid for youth incentive payments. We fund programs for youth that can earn incentive payments. We also pay stipends for youth, but the majority of the money went to provide educational financial aid for most of those people in and out of $130,000. And so far this year that we're halfway through, we spent $86,455 on Logan County residents for employment training related programs. And we served 86 clients year to date since July 1. It is an important part of our area to service Logan County. I mean, we consider it such that, just so that you know how the funding's based, funding for the program is based on population. But when we sit down as a group, the Board of County Commissioners, the local board of elected officials sit down together, it's important, regardless how much money the county brings in to that pot, to make sure that county gets served. That's why we have 2 employees here and have an office up on Harrison. So it's important for that. I've heard that maybe there was a little question about the time involved for somebody to be on this. The Board of Local Elected Officials meets every other month, and it's generally an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I know it's not as convenient. We meet in the middle of Oklahoma City, 36 in Santa Fe, at our offices. Commissioner Vaughn from Oklahoma County, Commissioner Stewart from Canadian County, and Commissioner Cleveland from Cleveland County are members of the local elected official board. So they're all involved and have been. That's primarily the hour and a half, every other month. It's primarily the time that's dedicated to this. Most everything else, all the information we can supply by email, however it'll work. I will point out on page 3 that it does say that the county and the board of elected officials under section E, that you can designate alternate or designated participant if you like. So that's been done. Just in my time, I've been associated with this board for 10 years now, and we have had first deputies come into place, primarily when Jim Roth was commissioner of Oklahoma County. And sometimes he'd have his first deputy act in his stead, which is allowable by state statute as well. So that's not an issue. But we think it's important to have Logan County represented on the board. We need their views. It's typically just a little bit more rural than some of the other areas we serve. We need to have their input as to what we allow. We make up a list of training, occupations demand on an annual basis. We need that kind of input from the local area as to what they think is important in their area, because economic development is part of what we're engaged in, is to have a skilled workforce. And we don't want to be training people in things or helping people learn skills they're not going to use. So it's important to have input from all 4 counties in our estimation. So I'll be happy. Yes. Okay. And if you have any questions, I will tell you that every once in a while, county commissioners, because local elected officials are fiscally responsible for the funds. We've not had any question costs since the board's been running that money for 10 years. I do have copies of our last audit if you'd like those. I can tell you that just to make sure that counties are protected, we not only carry a directors and officers liability policy, we carry a professional grant writers policy in case there were any question costs. But like I said, we've not had any cost question in the 10 years that the board has been acting as the fiscal agent for the group. And that's another thing I should mention. The board of local elected officials pick the fiscal agent, or the banker, if you will, for the funds. That's how it works. So that's another important role. And also the chief local elected, from the board of local elected officials, they elect a chief local elected officials who is who we coordinate with for anything that needs to be signed off on, because the local elected officials are involved in our annual plan. They're involved, we don't pick our own board members. Commissioners appoint board members. So it's an important role that's played by the local elected officials. Just want to encourage that if we might find somebody to start serving on the local elected officials board. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Who were the commissioners again that you have on there?
Cleveland?
Yes.
From Cleveland.
Yes.
Stewart from Canadian.
Okay.
And Vaughn from Oklahoma County.
Okay. All those sound like good conservative type of commissioners to me.
And I would say that's true.
That is true.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And kind of success rate have you had in being able to train and get these people placed?
Well, most of the training, if we spend money, let me say, there are several levels of how we interact with job seekers. One thing, okay. There are ones that we don't spend money on other than have an office to help them find a job. Now, we do that, but the ones we spend money on, the success rate is somewhere, if I remember last year's figure was 86% of those who went to training ended up in employment.
Well,
I can tell you the people that walk in the front door, which we're accountable for that as well, whether they get any money spent on them as other than staff costs, the placement rate for those people, everybody walks in the front door is 59%. So everybody walks in the door over the last 2 years, it's been at 59%. That's how they've been placed. Because we have people that frankly, you have a bigger demand for people who want to go to work right now that because we can't afford to pay living expenses while they go to school. So we have a lot of people who's primarily interested in being able to transfer skills to another job. So.
All right, I appreciate it.
I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? Good. On to number 6, consideration of possible action on appointing designate member to the local elected officials board of the Central Oklahoma Workforce Investment Board. This was tabled from our meeting January the 15th.
You like to do it, Martin?
No, sir. I returned it down last time.
Well, maybe you had time to think about it. You like to do it this time?
No, sir. Turned it down last time.
It don't matter to me, Mike. If y'all don't want to do it, I'll do it.
Okay. I would nominate Monty Piercy to be on the Workforce Board, Investment Board, Central Oklahoma Workforce Investment Board. Second. Go ahead, second.
He's gonna force me to do it. He just, you know that I don't like doing it.
Yep.
You're not gonna say it? I'll second it.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Abstain.
Motion carries. Number 7, Logan County Emergency Management Director, monthly update briefing to the Board of Commissioners. Emergency management update briefing topics by our districts, members, capabilities, equipment, points of contact, emergency management standard operating procedures, and emergency operations center.
Mr. Chairman, I asked this to be put on the agenda. David, I appreciate you showing up. This is just basically a briefing for the board. I recommend that we do this periodically, at least once a month, especially during fire season, to kind of keep up with what's going on and that sort of thing. So, David, we talked about the agenda. It's your show. Go ahead.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, as you see on the front page is the map of all the fire districts in the county. Second page has the fire station, the chief, their cell number, their email. I would ask that the cell numbers are their personal cell numbers, so wouldn't put that on the internet or write that up in the bathroom wall or anything like that.
They are privileged phone numbers, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir. And then the other sheets are lists from the departments that I got. That some of it has manpower, some of it has some of their equipment listed that's on there.
On the, let's look at, so I know what I'm looking at here, right?
Okay.
On the Cashion Fire Department, let's pick on this for a second. 21 firefighters, EMR, what is that?
Emergency medical response.
Okay, cool.
I believe is what that
EMT,
is.
what's the difference between EMR and EMTs?
EMT is, I believe, is more basic or it's a higher level of standard of care. Emergency medical response, I believe, is just like a basic first aid.
F1?
Firefighter 1.
Okay. I got that, so that's okay, and then instructor. Okay. got
Yeah.
it.
And I'm not 100% for sure on the difference between firefighter 1 and firefighter 2. That would be something for them, but
Okay.
kind of tells you who does what in their area. And I believe everybody's packets should be in the same order.
Okay.
and I think you guys are aware, but just in case you're not, Guthrie's the only full-time fire department that we have in the county. All the others are volunteer guys. Some of our departments, and just in case you guys aren't aware, Deer Creek, Cashin, Crescent, Marshall, Orlando, Mulhall, and Coyle, I know cover areas outside of Logan County. Their fire districts go outside the boundaries of Logan County. They all have, as I understand it, all the departments have mutual aid agreements with each other, so if something happens in one district, they're covered to come help. We've had several wildfires the last few weeks.
I've heard something about that the mutual aid requirements were no longer required because of some state statute or something.
That may have possibly changed.
I mean,
don't know.
that's just rumor, right?
Yeah,
So
I don't
just-
know if that's.
Well, I don't know, but I do know in the fires in southeast county that we have had very good response from the city of Fallis, or the
Yes,
fire
yes,
department of Fallis.
outside.
The city is no longer existent. And also apparently we have had backup from the Luther Fire Department, which of course is a municipal fire department. So, so we're very appreciative to them and feel like they are very definitely an aid in that particular area. Hopefully one of these days, people in that area will be able to get their own volunteer fire department, but we're working on that. I think that in the future, this would be a good thing to go over annually. I believe we should continue to get your monthly report of all the things that you do.
The way we've done it in the past, and we can do it to the monthly, has been the bi-monthly report. I've
Has
just
it
given
been?
you guys, yeah, it's just been a
Well,
snapshot of the
bi-monthly
last
would be
2
fine,
months.
if that's what you're used to, let's
It's
do
whatever you
that.
guys want. but-
Chairman,
Yeah.
point of order, I think a decision like that should be voted on by the board. And then secondly.
Well, I do believe that you said that you wanted it monthly, and
So I'd like
therefore
to see
the
it
same
monthly.
type of
Yes.
vote would be required. In this particular instance,
I
there
agree.
is nothing in here about voting on this.
Yeah, okay.
No action.
No action there, absolutely, you're correct. So, sir, on the inventory of the equipment, right? I assume this is what the fire truck's in into. I really, maybe I wasn't clear, I was really wanting you to go over and see if the county clerk can get a list of equipment on file over there on the inventory.
David, I don't think they're his secretary. If he wants, he can go over and get it himself.
Well, I can,
Yes, I
I
think
certainly
so.
can, yeah.
No, he's not your secretary. He's our emergency management guy.
Right, emergency management and equipment,
No,
inventory.
emergency manager.
Yeah. Yep, for emergency equipment, yeah.
Dave, I appreciate everything you do.
I do too,
Thanks,
as
Dave,
well.
appreciate that.
Very much. Let's see, do we need a motion to accept this report?
There's no action
Okay.
on the agenda.
All right, number 8, open sealed bid 2015 FD7 for fire apparatus and equipment for Coyle Fire Department, and consideration and possible action on awarding said bid. And
One bid was received.
Ms. Chief Culver,
Yes, sir.
Oil.
I definitely appreciate your help over there in our area with those wildfires.
You're welcome, sir.
One bid.
Yes.
Would you like to come up
Hey,
and?
Mike, why don't you read it, Sherman?
Oh.
How much it is?
Okay. All right, this is for a 2015 Ford F-550 Super Cab with a Blanchette bed. And the total price on this one is $143,981.56. The monthly lease payments are $2,605.85. The interest rate is 3.25.
If you'd like to take it back to the room and read over, make sure it meets all your specs.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Just don't
Appreciate
leave
it.
the room with it, please.
Please. And I think we should go ahead, come back to item 8 after they have looked through this, and proceed on to number 9, which is the consideration and possible action on appointing Robert Carey and reappointing Jim Overton and Barry Anderson to the Logan County EMS I-1 Board of Trustees, table from January 15th, 2015.
I make a motion to reform.
I second.
Point of clarification.
Sure.
No discussion?
Sure, discuss if you
Yeah,
wish.
thank you. Mr. Anderson?
First, we had our county clerk, Troy Cole, asked to be heard.
I was just gonna clarify his motion, if I caught him correctly, he said reappoint. We have 2 points on that item. One is an appointment and then 2 a reappointment.
My motion would be to appoint Robert Carey to reappoint Jim Barry.
You have a discussion.
Yep, a couple items. First of all, I looked at the resolution 0905. Talks about appointments of boards and commissions that the board assigned, and that's supposed to be the process, I think, that we're supposed to be following. So I don't think it's been deleted or modified in any way. I'm not sure that resolution is the way this is being conducted today. So I would think we would want to look at that and make sure we're following the rules that we said we were going to follow. And then the other point is that we've asked these gentlemen to show up today and talk about these audit findings for the EMS district before the appointment. I certainly understand that the two gentlemen here want to go ahead and reappoint without going into those. I would advise against that, but it's certainly the board's. I mean, it's a 2-to-1 board, right? In that case, I'd like to go over the audit findings.
Okay, but I got a letter from Assistant DA,
Yes.
our advisor, and I
One
did
that
get
I
a
shared.
copy of it, and we're not over their audits. We're over appointing board members to the EMS board.
Which
That
is
is
exactly what we're doing.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Didn't say anything about audits.
Okay.
This agenda item don't say anything about going over an
So
audit.
if you
All right,
wish to
let's
go
not go
over-
over an audit. Let's talk about conflicts of interest then.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Let's see, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, sir.
Could
He's
you,
not on the agenda to talk to him.
well, I believe that I've got the opportunity as a board member to ask questions.
I think we'll stick to the agenda.
I do too.
I think we should stick to the agenda. We're talking
So
about
if
reappointments.
you wish to talk to Barry, why don't you do this on your own, please, sir? And let's go ahead and proceed with the agenda as it is written instead of varying from it.
Barry, if
You
you feel
get a
comfortable
voice
by
and do
answering
whatever
that.
you want to in this deal.
I
No
am a good old
question.
boy.
That's a fact, sir.
That is a fact. Sure ain't no horse's ass. Barry, if you feel comfortable answering, I'll quit bragging on
On the audit question?
it. Yeah.
Sure.
Would you like to address
I thought we were going to talk about audits.
Yeah, I don't think we ought to.
I really don't either.
No, I don't care about talking about audits anymore. I do
All right.
talk about conflicts of interest.
All right, let's talk about it.
Can I address Mr. Anderson?
Conflict of interest.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't see it on the agenda.
Well, it's something that's been going on and on here, right?
Should put it on the agenda, I guess.
I guess we should. So are we going to stand here, or sit here and argue about what's on the agenda?
So
I can tell you one thing, you're not gonna run over me, buddy.
I'm not running over anybody.
That's right.
I'm just trying to point out that I think we've got some issues that need to be addressed with the board. If you guys want to hear about them.
I'll tell you what, if there is a conflict of interest, I think that you should go ahead and investigate that. And if there is a conflict of interest with
Great,
Barry
here it is.
Anderson being on
Here it is.
anything,
There's the conflict of interest that I see.
then I
That-
think we ought to.
That is I just had an opportunity yesterday evening because the auditor just published this. This is the budget for the EMS board. Talks about all the cash and everything else that they have. I'm not sure that it's appropriate for a board member to also be a member of a banking and financial institution.
Why is this?
Why is that? So you need me to explain that to you, why that might
A
be
banker is a citizen Barry has been a volunteer EMS in the past. He has his heart and soul in this.
Heart
The
and soul
bank
on
is
this.
not financing, to the best of my knowledge, any of the equipment or anything else. He has no monetary interest whatsoever in this equation. So if he's just a banker and that's your problem,
No, it's not that he's just a banker. I believe that Mr. Anderson is a bank officer. Right? Right? You're an officer of that bank?
Yes.
Right. And does your bank profit from any deposits or any money on deposits in your bank today
Yes,
from the county?
yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
very good.
I think Martin had a good point on Robert Carey. I mean, our protocol we set up a few years ago about doing applications. So I guess I would retract my motion, and I'll make the motion to reappoint Barry Anderson and Jim Overton. And I guess we need to do an application. If we're gonna follow our own protocol, that's what we need to do.
That sounds appropriate. I will second
Thanks for
that.
pointing that out, Jimmy Martin.
May I
Sure.
ask a question so I can clarify?
Absolutely.
I believe the position that Mr. Carey was being considered for is actually a vacancy, is that correct? It's,
That is correct. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed to the motion? Nay. Motion carries. On to item 10, consideration and possible action on approving resolution accepting donation of a television from Mike Pearson of Logan County. That's a
Could you
46
pass that down, please?
46-inch RCA flat screen. 510, it's already over here, is to mount that on a wall so that we can use that for educational purposes, various and sundry other, just presentations that might come into this meeting. So I would make the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Can I clarify?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Goodman, did you abstain or vote nay? I didn't hear you.
I said yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Item 11, consideration and possible action on approving encumbrance from CBRI account 6150-2290 to Atlas Paving for paving Midwest Boulevard beginning at County Road 76 extending south approximately, it should be approximately 1 1/4 miles.
This item is on the CBRI commitment list. The board action is here. This here is just for the requisition officer, which would be you as chairman.
It's for $50,000 out of CBRI.
Is this your project, Mike?
Yes, sir. We
You got a
approved
grant- You got a
that.
grant going with it?
86,000 is with that. The total project will be in that neighborhood. We have 86,000, and we'll be reimbursed for that 86,000 by the REAP program. And may I also add on the REAP program that it is under fire in our legislation. This is just FYI. We could lose this in the future.
Is it on the agenda?
No, sir. But I did want it as a point of information.
It's interesting how that works.
Yes, it is, isn't it? There you go.
I actually need an action on this.
Oh, I make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 12, consideration and possible action on approving a professional services agreement between the Logan County Health Department and Adriana E. Halstead for dietitian services for fiscal year 15.
And of course, the standard question is this contract, has it been bid, or is this
It's
an
a,
ongoing contract that we're just renewing, or what's the little background?
this is a service contract. Services under the statute do not have to be bid.
Right, I understand that.
Okay. You asked me for that, Ben.
Yes, ma'am.
The health department is contracting with her for the rest of the fiscal year for dietitian services. That's the information that I have. It is quite normal for our health department to have various different service providers for different things.
And so, $45 an hour.
Want to see a copy, Mike?
Speed this up a little bit. I didn't know there was 3 copies. They're all the same. They're all different.
Contracts required. Entertain a motion?
I'll move. I can't second it, though. I don't.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. With 3 copies. Item number 13, consideration and possible action on accepting the donation of Commissioner Goodman's travel allowance and subsequent transfer of the remaining half-year travel reimbursement of $3,600 to the District 1 Highway Budget Account 3510-2290 in accordance with Title 19-165A. Commissioner Goodman has selected travel allowance in lieu of traveling expense. Commissioner Goodman has also voluntarily donated 100% of this travel allowance to Logan County District Number 1 Highway Budget Account number 3510-2290. This action is requested by Commissioner Goodman to remain in force forward across future fiscal years until so rescinded Commissioner Goodman or vacating the office of Commissioner. It is therefore requested the currently remaining $3,600 in Commissioner Goodman's general travel fund account be transferred to the aforementioned District Number 1 Highway Budget Account number 3510-2290.
Make a motion.
Second.
I don't see that as being a donation. A donation is when you receive money and then you donate it back. I thought.
I think we're good, Mike. Let's move on.
All right. Although, yes.
Chairman, this slot as requisitioning officer general would be here. This is the signature for the board action. Marvin, I printed the initial email where you had laid out
Yes, ma'am.
authorizing to do that and using it as an attachment.
This one, thank you very much.
Did I get a motion? I did.
I have a motion and a second, not a vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain. Still don't think it was voted Item 14, consideration and possible action on the creation of the Logan County Technology and Modernization Committee. Oops.
So I think you can finish the agenda.
There, right here, running the agenda only. Sorry about that. Consideration and possible action on the creation of the Logan County Technology and Modernization Committee. It would be chaired by a commissioner and be represented by members of each elected county official, plus the Director of Emergency Management. The purpose of this committee is to advise the Board of County Commissioners with plans and recommendations of where it makes sense to invest, upgrade, or consolidate our county information systems.
Mr. Chairman, I asked to have this item placed on the agenda today to discuss it and consider action on creating this committee. To also summarize another agenda item here, I think this would also help cover agenda item 17. Kind of had in my mind when I wrote this one. What this committee would do would have a representative from each elected official, plus the Director of Emergency Management, because technology is changing, upgrades, that sort of stuff. And this committee would look at areas that need improvement or recommendations for improvement or consolidation, networks, systems, that sort of stuff. This is not a committee that will make decisions, but a committee that will bring recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners. One of the first items I think that the board could take up would be item 17, which would be an upgrade to the Commissioner's office. I think we talked about that earlier. Anyway, that's my intent, and open for questions or any other.
I believe the commissioners currently are that committee.
I guess a question I have, Marvin, have you talked to any other of the elected officials about this committee and their input on it?
No, have not. No, have not. That's what, we seem to have quite a few of them here today. There again, this isn't anything mandatory.
Right.
This is actually to get the elected officials together and all of us as a group look at which direction we want to go in the county as far as modernization and that sort of thing.
Well, the question I would have, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Would it be the same as just like our officer meetings?
Yeah.
When we get together to discuss things, we can periodically call.
Sure, fair enough question. In my mind, no, not really. This would be, I've been on these committees, put those together before. And normally what happens is an elected official will send one of their employees, or a department head would send one of their employees, mostly because they're too busy to go over the details. And the people that I would look for to be on a committee like this would be folks that were technically, that understands the business processes of the office, understand a little bit about technology, and could take issues and recommendations back to the elected official and talk to them about that, get that input, and bring that input back to the board and discuss that. So that, kind of get everybody's input, make sure that nobody's left out there. Again, this isn't a board to direct action, but to gather information from everyone and to get our workers' opinions as well, get everybody involved in the modernization and technology processes.
So this would include all elected officials that would be on this committee?
Yes, it would. Yeah.
So that would be an officers' meeting?
A representation of elected officials. It represented elected officials, right?
So what you're saying, the difference is when we have an officers meeting, usually it's just the officers.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
But the
ma'am.
difference
This is actually a
would be,
working meeting.
we could send other people in our place if we couldn't.
Yes. For example, ma'am, one of the things We look at, for upgrading the website, that'd be a good thing to start with, right? The county website, that's a county website, that's not just the Board of Commissioners site, right? So we look at that, look at the board would look at the way other counties do it, and we would talk about that before we would recommend any changes in a particular office. The representative of that office would go back and talk to that elected official, get their input, bring it back, and that would be included in the recommendations.
But that would also require the officers to meet on that, to be able to consider those recommendations regardless of what their representatives said, so that could be discussed between all the officers.
So you're basically talking like physical changes, upgrading the courthouse, things like that?
Technology and modernization is similar to the same committees and processes used at the state level on those same boards and committees. It's kind of what had in mind.
So how would that relate to number 17 that you're talking about?
Well, the upgrade to the conference room involved upgrade to technologies and things like that.
So it only consider technology?
No. No.
I don't have a problem with it. I'd really like to have a little more time for what we thought.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. If you guys want to table this till next time, that's fine. That's great.
Or maybe we should call an actual officers meeting to discuss
Sure.
this, all officers.
I believe that would be more in order.
I don't know if we're all here today. I don't
Nope.
know.
Are y'all coders? It just
It's
me. I'm about to
unreal.
freeze to
I'm
death.
about to, yeah. That was the
Okay.
spectacle.
I'll just turn this fan off if y'all don't mind.
Did you hear my teeth chattering? Is that what it is?
Just mine.
So, not the next meeting, because that's Monday, right?
Right.
Do you need more than the weekend, or do you
Yeah,
want more?
I'd
than-
rather.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So the
think maybe-
15th, you want to talk about it on the 15th? or-
Yeah. Won't we do a no action and have an officers meeting and kind of thrash out what way everyone thinks we ought to
Then
go?
that wouldn't be the 15th then. So that would be whenever we can put it together for an officer.
Yeah, I'm not sure if no action is what I was looking for there. I was looking for a,
We can
maybe a
table it.
postponement.
Okay.
And just
No.
to clarify, that it would be the 13th because of the 15th on weekend in
13th?
February.
Right.
February is the 13th.
So the board will revisit this on the 13th. Between now and then, we can get together with the officers and go over that. Is that what we're looking at?
Well, it would have to be an officer's meeting.
Send out an email and say we get an officers meeting together and do it about this. But I'm not opposed to it tomorrow.
So, what did you say, 13th?
The 13th.
It'll be the next commissioner.
That's when we're talking.
This item will table till the 13th.
13th.
Of
exactly.
February.
Okay, that's what I thought. Fine, Thank you.
Item number 15, consideration and possible action on approving detention transportation claim for the month of December 2014.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second. All in favor? Aye.
Can I read it first?
Absolutely.
Aye.
Aye.
On to number 16, consideration and possible action on reappointing Dan Ladd and Richard Moore to the Jail Trust Authority Board.
Did I understand Dan right earlier? Dan,
He's still good.
you don't want to be reappointed? Is that the way?
No, well, what I'd recommend is reappointment in case I'm not appointed to the other board.
Okay.
I'm only able to be on one board at a time. I want to serve our community. So I'm on that board, but there's 5 members. They would be able to go on before. We're rarely having meetings now. We've stopped monthly meetings. We're now, so I just felt like.
I'll make the motion to reappoint Dan and Rick Moore to the jail trust board.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Number 17, consideration and possible action on upgrades to the Commissioners' Conference Room. I think we were talking something about taking this wall out. I assume it's not a load-bearing wall, change this around, have that fireplace is not in use, put in a wall here, I believe, and have a hallway that would come around to this door so that our secretary could come and go without bothering any kind of conference that's going on.
I'll tell you my thinking on it. I think we'll keep it pretty simple. We discussed this table, wasn't big enough for all three of us to
That's
sit on
true.
one side. I think we'll redo the table, and I'd also like to see us put in like handicapped accessible doors.
Yeah,
into the building,
absolutely.
to the conference room.
Absolutely.
With the push button.
With the push button, I think that would be a big start, but I'd like to keep it pretty simple. myself.
We do not have this opened up or anything of that nature.
I agree. We talked about possibly, extending one more table. One of the thoughts that I had was possibly moving the table for the commissioner, or actually whoever's using the conference room, right? But the table's over against this wall possibly, or this, it makes more sense probably to put the commissioners over here.
To rearrange it that way.
And then on this wall over here, you could have your big screen TV for looking at things that came up as the agenda items once we get modernization done. And then we can also have a smaller one back behind the commissioners or whatever. But what that allows is the longer table, and if we put the desk over here, then that allows the commissioners in and out, allows the guests in and out this way, face tables.
I do like it. Also,
But that's just
from
my-
that
that's my
viewpoint,
thought.
I like the rearranging and doing basically a 90-degree turn here. One of the points that I see is that we would not have to have as many rows for our citizens who wish to be heard, that they would have a better view of the commissioners.
Well, Commissioners, we can have Paul and his help. These are 4 individual tables designed to sit and be moved around, so it wouldn't be a problem to accomplish this step next week and having probably 3, I don't know if we can go all 4 lengthways across. If you want to have that already done, I will have Paul work on getting that done next week.
Yes,
So
so
then-
the rearrangement, these seem to be put together.
Yes.
So they're playing, so they don't move.
Be nice to have a
Put one more.
single table.
I think do you think 3 would do it, and then?
It'd be a good start.
Yeah.
So you would want to buy another one like
No,
this?
No, we have
we've got
2 over
several.
there.
Oh, we have to, that's right.
So, just so I can instruct Paul, you'd like 3 of these in a row here with your backs to that wall.
Yes, ma'am.
Turn the chairs to face that way.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll remove the desk that's back here in this corner. Do you see a need to have it with this other extra one?
That's kind of a place for,
Just kinda stick it?
I'm not sure I want to get in that level of details for it.
I will work on
Kinda
having Paul
looking-
and the trustee that helps him get that done.
But to be honest, I kind of thinking that the table should be on this side, and the commissioners could sit on this side, because if we're on this side, we may have people coming and going from this door or from that door, so we can see them. Now, we can see from that door, but we couldn't see from this one. Now, I will say too, that on the other side of the coin, where our secretary right there, would be more would be closer to us, so that we could get her to do
Which I
that.
think
So
is what we
whichever
said.
way you wish to do it, be fine.
Well, just to be clear, we really didn't need an agenda item to rearrange our room.
That's true.
But Marvin, could I add you into my motion to get a price on getting handicap accessible?
Be happy to do that.
Yeah,
Well, I move
I'm
that
all
we
for that.
Do the upgrades, and Marvin's gonna check on the handicap accessible doors for outside and inside, so I
I'll second.
appreciate it.
I'll second.
You can have a-
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin.
Number 18, consideration possible action on, is that stripping or
It's
striping?
the way it was sent to me and I didn't see it.
It should be striping.
I went fishing one time, sent an email to a friend, said I went striper fishing, and he said I went stripper fishing. It's not the same thing.
I asked Cynthia to put this on the agenda. I would like to have this over here striped. And up here where the accessory's been parking, I'd like to have them set up as handicap, just for easy accessible to building and what have you.
I think it's great.
And also, do y'all think, which was the item before, should we check on putting handicap accessible doors down here as well on the other?
I think we should check
Yeah.
it for the whole annex. I
Right.
think we should, yeah. Yes, sir.
But that's,
I'll take that as an action on the annex.
yeah, I just wanted to have this over here striped and have it marked for handicap. And
I think it's a great motion.
I think
Surprised
it
it already had been required.
yeah, it needs to be done.
I believe striping is a state contract.
Yes.
The folks that came out and did the parking lot after the
We fought for it,
repair.
right?
So is it, would you like me just? to-
Yeah, if you would give us a price, if you don't mind.
Yes.
And you don't want one handicap parking spot or two?
I'm wondering, is there any kind of legal course on that?
Because we have two over here
On the front, in front of the courthouse?
yeah,
Well, on this side of the
on
street.
this side of the
Yeah.
street.
Oh, on this side,
Yeah,
we do
on this
have
side.
two.
So there's like four right there.
If I may, when the company came out and relayed out, not the current, the original and all of this out here, they had laid us out to extend beyond the legal requirements for handicap
Good.
spaces at that time. So that part of the question we should be good.
Good.
All right, so you're gonna check on that, so I'll make a motion to approve the helmet strap off state contract if we like the price.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 19, consideration of possible action on approving resolutions appointing receiving officers for various accounts.
I have none on that item today.
On to number 20, consideration of possible action on approving resolutions appointing requisitioning officers for various
Just one.
accounts. I will make the motion to accept resolution appointing requisitioning officer.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As a resolution, it's set for all three of
Yeah,
your
I can
signatures.
pass it around so everyone can read it further.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 21, award sealed bid number 2015 CBDG 1 for water treatment plant improvements for Logan County Rural Water District 2. Bids opened on January 15, 2015.
Oh, she walked in. I thought you were still in there. That's what I was looking for.
Ah,
Appreciate the opportunity to meet with you again. Bob, why don't you come on up, and he has a bid tabulation sheet for each of you and a recommendation letter for award. And I'll let him go over those just a little bit.
Well, we did, as you guys know, we had 3 bids. Ron Welcher, Construction from Sepulpa was the low bid. And that's who I had recommended on this sheet, and my basis for recommendation is in the letter. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
and this is a low bid?
Yes, sir, it is.
On this type of bid, can y'all break that out to different companies, or do you have to award it to like one company?
We basically it boils down to insurance, due to insurance problems that happens during the construction project, we would like to award it to one company.
Right.
It just gets to be a
Could you,
mess.
if you chose to, could you break it out?
It could be done if it were deemed that way in the bid packet. In this particular case, they were spread out as, these are not alternatives. This was.
These were not alternates, they're all
Yeah.
part of the base bid, we just had them split out, so We have change order, it's a lot easier to deal with.
If we had a situation where there were alternates to the bid, then yes, you could kind of pick and choose. But this is really one project, water treatment plant. And in this scenario, it was not bid as alternates, it was bid as one project with a breakdown of each component. Some of the things though that Bob was talking about that you get into when you're doing one project with different contractors, you always want to be careful about warranties and insurance and those kind of things that can happen should something, go wrong or not work right.
You would end up with multiple bonds, multiple insurance, and it could become a mess if there was a problem. I also, in the letter, have requested that a notice of award be signed, and I brought 5 copies today to, if possible, get signed today. Wasn't sure who would be doing the signing, so.
And it would only require the chairman's signature. Bob did meet with the Water District Board. They are in an agreement, and this is their feeling as well, that they would like to go with the low bid.
You have any questions?
I don't, I would like to thank the folks from the Rural Water District for providing us an excellent example of how sealed bid process is supposed to work in accordance with the purchasing handbook officer for Oklahoma County. It talks about in there very explicitly that this is the process that's supposed to work, and how it's supposed to work. From the time that bid was opened, those bids were opened and unsealed. You folks were here to record those on the list of bidders, the bid record, and then announced the price, took responsibility, went back, and then came back with a written recommendation from the requisitioning officer that must be considered in our decision. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
One of the things about this, of course, is that Millie has done a lot of these grants, and this is under the federal guidelines. And therefore, they must be adhered to, because yes, this is federal money.
Right.
And that's why we appreciate you so much, Billy. Motion.
I motion to accept the recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
That's up for your
What do we,
signature.
I think that there are 5 copies of the notice of award. There's just one place here.
owner by right here, Logan County?
Yes, right there. Yeah, 5 times. Because it's federal money.
You bet. Love them, federal government.
That notice of award will go to the construction contractor. That puts him on notice to get his bonds and insurance together. And so that our next phase is going through the contracting phase.
On to item number 22.
Thank you.
Thank you, Millie. Consideration possible action on approving the following temporary road crossing permits for Brickman Fast Line and Select Energy Services. We sure got them, well, we don't have as big a mess of them. So we have a 3-inch water line that will be parallel to Western 1 mile north of County Road 64 and western 5,280 feet north of this section 418 north and 3 west, cross County Road 64, 10th a mile east of County Road 64 and western 5 foot east of the northwest central of section 918 north 2 west, parallel to County Road 75, 0.05 miles east of Council, 520 feet south of the northwest central of 29, 17 north 4 west, and that just follows right on through 30, 20, and 19.
Yeah. Those are definitely.
And these are all one. That's a 4 you took for selecting these.
I can't hear you.
So we have a motion.
No motion accept.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Did you miss this one back there?
Yeah, I was just gonna let you read it before I started signing.
That's all right. These are all
And we have consideration possible action on approving the following permanent road crossing permits for Devon Energy. We have across County Road 65, 0.5 miles east of County Road 65 in northwestern. That is section 33, 19 north 3 west, and cross western, 0.01 miles south of western and County Road 65, 83 feet south of the northeast corner of 515 north 3 west. Has Devin been doing all right in the graveling of these crossings for you, Monty?
Yeah, we had an issue here 7 or 8 months ago, but they got all caught up and they've really been doing quite well on that end.
I have one, but I haven't called them on it. That they haven't done. It's been a while. I need to get hold of them. Make sure they didn't drop the ball on it.
George, you got a motion on the first one?
We had action on the temporary. I have not heard any for the permanent.
I'll make the motion to approve the permanent for them.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. '24, consideration and possible action on the consent agenda.
Sure, it can take a lot of time to sign this stuff at meetings.
Used to take a lot longer before we were able to consolidate a bit.
It's interesting, we take time to sign, but not time to read.
That's the summary of the payroll,
Table.
which is on the consent agenda.
Oh, okay.
huge. Through these. I had to bring those claims with me today because I had to have them.
You guys ready?
Yes.
Can we move to,
Mine.
I think we should wait.
what do you think? Okay. I'll wait for you to sign payroll.
Well, we're still on the consent agenda. This is transfer, which is the next.
Side, you know, quiet. Y'all getting hot now, I turn the fan back on.
We're not working up a sweat signing like you guys are, so we're good.
Hey, Troy, you any checks? You know into the county? You run the through.
I do. This is a long day on here.
I'll try to mix them all up and see if I can confuse you.
It wouldn't be difficult. I just forgot to stamp it, that's why he went ahead and,
Okay.
I think it probably got, the staple got caught and I
Not
missed.
a problem. I just a little confused there for a second.
I thought that maybe just an idea to get some of those longitudinal barriers, we're just trying to move it up. Oh, he did? Okay.
With all of technology, you think they discover a way to make staples not hang up on one another.
They do. They're working on it. It's called digital documents.
They're not yet, yeah.
Two minutes?
Used to be the one that. The house and. Everybody's house.
So,
Transfer.
equipment.
Money's transferring money. Commissioner Pearson is transferring some money into his part-time salary account.
I think it's from that account to M&O.
Yeah,
Yes. We don't need that.
that's right. $5,786.
We're not doing part-timers anymore. Is there a place that I need to sign this?
Right above my name. It wasn't 3 lines, so I just dropped down a line.
Okay, because I didn't want to sign it for the chairman. That would be a presumption.
Yeah, right above my name. I just,
How about I start?
sometimes we go side to side, sometimes
That's
that's
all
all
right. I got it.
That would be the blanket purchase orders.
Water's awful expensive these days. Nothing like it's gonna be.
Slide that down.
Yes, sir. Did you? Those please, Mike?
But, you know, I signed in the wrong spot.
No problem, sir. Here's one if you would like to. Catch that one. Got this one in that spot. No, I got it. The Guthrie newsletter, that's what we publish, the things we publish, that's takes care of.
Yes, sir.
that. Okay, that's what, okay, thanks. $25 to Walmart for civil defense.
Yeah, what's that for, David, blanket appeal?
Yeah, I know it was a little bit higher.
No, this is the new blanket. going
Oh,
on.
yeah, so if I can go, if I need to go get something, I can. Asking for threes here, 2 on the back, because it smokes.
I thought maybe it's like water bottles or something.
Yeah.
No. Candy going through the kids.
Who else does that?
Positioning department Orlando.
Fire department.
Yeah.
Election board
Right.
salary reimbursement claim.
So for the signature, the chairman only, but that's reimbursement on the election board secretary.
What is this for you?
The election board secretary is reimbursement from the state, we pay her, they reimburse us.
Oh, sure.
And this is the utility, court fund utility claim.
Stop this video. 35 minutes for signing.
And alcoholic beverage tax.
So we need to look at, Speed
And,
bumps.
you know, I don't like them things from the table.
Speed bumps up. Place glass scratches. Wish we didn't really have these. That's what it is.
That would conclude the consent agenda.
Can we drop back to item 8 real quick?
We need to finish this.
We need to finish it, it's all right.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Aye. All in favor? Aye. None opposed, motion carries. Now,
That would be up to you, Chairman.
please, let's go back to number 8. You guys selected as to whether you want that one bid or not.
Yes, we would recommend acceptance. It's the only company, after 6+ months research, the only company that meets the new or advanced safety design that's likely to be part of the new federal or national standards on safety for brush trucks. So we would recommend acceptance.
Make the motion.
Did it meet all the bid requirements?
Yes.
It did. Only bid we had, low bid, I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
You don't have to sign it.
Good. Now we're down to number 25. Consideration and possible action on approving payment of claims for January 2015.
Are you kidding? And no one's certified to operate? No one. They can drive it? I don't think the ladder's been tested since the year they bought it. I doubt it would never. No, it's about an 80, I think it's 84, 85 pond. So, it's a 70. 60 or 70. So that's the nice looking stuff where it is, but they never use it. They just waste the money. The dust. Haven't toned out years, maybe. I did. Sorry? There was no book on it. Well, they told me they had a lady come to our page. We were just in a meeting, and we got 2 calls tracking it. So I asked them in the meeting, can we get it turned out?
That's what it said over.
No, we gotta get it together. But you told me the day of that you had it. So I'm like,
No, oh, let me clarify something.
Mhm.
The reason we tagged this as over is the dollar amount went over the encumbrance. That's what made it out of compliance and why we asked for the board to sign on the front cover.
Front cover,
That's the requisition.
so we don't have to sign the requisition? is that what you're saying?
No, that was already signed by a requisitioning officer in the order placed.
Yeah,
They made this PO for, this one's not.
yeah, they made this one for
Right.
it's $25.
Front cover and recognizing.
Is there a reason why in District 1 we did this?
She noted right a note right there as far as why.
Usually it just states okay to pay. With a situation like Mark Cat, in all likelihood, if it was repairs, they, you know, it went over.
My
For some reason.
concern is that this was encumbered before I took office, and I'm required to spend additional money now to take care of a issue prior to my taking office. That's maybe, that could be an issue, is all I'm saying. When we make our PO, we ask for the highest estimate as what the cost of a repair might be. Every once in a while, that repair cost goes over their top estimate.
So how that happens?
It is. Well, I'm glad you explained that to me. So your PO is out of the box. We will sign up. Actually, I'm gonna take my name off this one.
Let me see that one.
Was that PO in District 1 to CAT, was that for leased equipment?
No, sir. Heather's wrote on here that the reason it went over is that the delivery fee had not been included.
Okay.
You said leased equipment, I would think of the monthly. This was for the rental
Yeah.
of a reclaimer. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I've read somewhere where those are supposed to be brought up to date. We'll look at that later. Thanks. Yes, sir. I wonder why we're not hitting the mark on these.
What is it?
This asphalt stuff, they seem to be missing it by $100 or so on the price. I mean, it's not a big deal, it's a,
A lot of times what happens is I'll get a PO for some Proline asphalt, I'll make it for 2 ton, and he'll go over, and the guy running the deal, he'll put 2.5 tons on the truck, and they miss it by half a ton. But if I make the PO for 10 ton, they'll probably put 10 ton on my little truck, and the tires.
blow the tires, leave that.
So I've tried to cover it that way, and I've learned a lesson doing that too.
So what's this one with the sheriff on, what about almost $900 over on the commissary account? Was that the blanket fee? It doesn't, I'm not able to.
On this is through the sales that Aramark does for commissary, and they have to encumber an amount they believe for the month would be good. For
Okay.
one reason or another, the sales went above what they had encumbered.
100 units. Commissary account.
They did miss it.
Sure.
They went over 900, and they made it for 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't just a little.
I think sometimes with the sheriff's department, it's difficult because you never know what the population is coming in.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk to these folks about these underestimates? I mean, is this, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is this common? Every month that we have this many out of compliance? or-
Actually, to be really honest with you, this is a very good month. There was a time in the past that this would be about 5 times what we would bring over here. The departments have really made a big effort to get better at it. I think the Commissioner Monty's been here long enough to remember when it was much
Well,
higher.
like this one's almost double, right? This one's almost double. I'm just.
I agree, I mean, it's a shame we got to paint these, but, like Troy said, it's come a long ways, they have done a lot better, but are we healed? No, we're not.
Okay, so we're still continuing to try and.
Well, I try on my end.
Well, no, I mean, but as far as a board, or
It's
I
been.
believe our
addressed in the past.
responsibilities is to help encourage other officers to do better.
Maybe we can talk about that in the officers meeting. When we get them all on one page.
I don't know the reason on that.
This one's almost double. It's
If,
repaired
being that it was
10th
repairing some of their
Street.
computers, I'm wondering if once they delved into the project, they determined there was more than,
Another fabrication, yeah. But the old adage that, they're not supposed to spend money that's not encumbered. It's out of compliance, right?
yes, it is.
Okay.
That's why they're marked.
Yes, ma'am. Special ops. Those camo?
What's it?
Special ops uniforms, they got camo uniforms?
I don't know.
No.
Desert camo?
That's the local uniform vendor in
woodland
Oklahoma
camo,
City.
that sort of stuff, desert.
motion we approve the claims.
Second. All those in favor?
May I clarify one thing? Did you want this one left out of your approval since you took your name off of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. With exceptions noted.
Okay, on to number 26. Comments, announcements, questions by the Board of County Commissioners.
I only got one, and that has to do with item 8, my abstention from that vote. I will continue to abstain until the board begins to follow the county purchasing procedures laid out in the handbook for sealed bids. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
I guess I got a comment. I agree with you, Martin. I think I am a pretty good old boy. I'm not trying to jump on top of you, but in our last meeting, I think we kind of had a little conflict. I thought we could have handled it a little more professional.
I think there's
I'll second that.
I think there's room for a little more professional attitude with all.
I agree 100%.
Sure.
No argument from me.
But, I mean, just because y'all have been doing things the same way for 40 years, doesn't necessarily mean they're right.
Yeah.
I do believe it
And just-
changed here.
And just because you come in
Not
here
that long.
and think it ought to be this way, don't mean it's right
6
either.
years. True. What I'm saying is, I think we should do what the people that wrote this book on county purchasing says is right, and what the state auditor says is right.
Well, the state auditor had a problem with it so far.
That's correct.
That's what the commissioners of K County said too.
And they're cleared.
Mhm.
We'll see.
But this, I think this is also set up for the audience. If y'all got anything, comments, questions for the board, please.
I think that was item 3.
It was. So let's go back to number 3 then, open them back up. Do we have any type of citizen who would like to be heard at this time? Seeing none.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm slowing the draw. I appreciate the chance of speaking in the beginning, because I think sometimes citizens want to come and share, and they can just then excuse themselves. I think it is appropriate to ask for comments at the end, because now that we've heard what all's gone on and some of the bantering that's going on, I think it's appropriate to ask for those that did care enough to stick out for the meeting to be able to have a comment. You don't want everybody pontificating too long, but I think it gives a good chance to. So, and on that comment, I would appreciate, all three of you acknowledge that there's some bantering going on that's really not professional, and I appreciate that you acknowledge that and that you'll work on that in the future.
I agree.
Thank you, Dan.
27, consideration possible action on adjournment.
Before we get to 27 on 26, seems how we're talking, I moved that, on that we, or that I recommend that we also then put another place at the end for citizens desiring to be heard.
So I think that's a good idea.
So it's
Sure.
spelled out that way.
But for citizens still wishing to be heard or something of that nature.
You would like it worded different than it is?
I don't care.
Well, or we can go back to number 3, or we could put
I'll just
the
add
last
it
item
as
at
a,
the
as the same
bottom.
item.
It's hard to close an agenda item if you keep going back to it. You can't hardly move. I mean,
Yes, as Marvin says, that's
agree.
not real professional.
So I'll just repeat that item at the end.
That'll work. Very good.
And then when is your next meeting? I'm sorry to.
13th, no,
Monday.
second
Monday.
Monday, second Monday.
First Monday of every month.
Mid-month.
The 15th, unless it's on a weekend, where it's moved to the
The Friday before
pre-siding.
and the last business day.
Yes.
I think Chris has something.
Oh, no.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No interviews.
All right. Anybody else?
Number 27, consideration possible action.